Today we're listening to a record from the most revolutionary jazz musician of the 20th century. Actually, he's the most revolutionary jazz musician of all time. None other than the legendary Charlie Parker. This is Charlie Parker with strings.
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored, brought to you today by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for all your jazz lesson needs. Peter, I'm going to set the scene.
Okay.
Imagine you're a young musician in 1949. Your favorite style of music is bebop, and your favorite bebop musician is coming out with a new album.
Or is he coming out of a swimming pool with Ethel Merman?
No, he's coming out like this. Pizzicato. Come on now.
Now he's back in the swimming pool, coming up. Remember with
Very Hollywood. Very Hollywood.
Or
this
synchronized,
album.
the original
For
synchronized
sure.
swimming. Oh, so great. Harp. And
Oboe.
Or is that English horn?
Is it English horn?
One of them. Modulation.
Oh, what a beauty. Hey. Hey. Man, every phrase the bird plays is just this like amazing legacy of melody.
Yeah.
Stan Freeman on piano, killing it.
Killing it. Not easy to come in after the Charlie Parker solo, is it? Go back double time. Could you imagine hearing Charlie Parker do double time and they're like, here's my take on it.
No,
solid.
He holds his own.
Yeah.
Put it out here right now. Just that solo on Just Friends, the opening track.
He plays three solos.
Plays three solos,
which is amazing.
He plays the solo through the whole thing. 3 minutes of Charlie Parker solo,
yeah.
Which is incredible. But just that track, just his improvisation is the equivalent of going to music conservatory. If you just studied that for 4 years and figured out what he was doing and how he was doing it and what he was playing over, and I mean, that would teach you.
You still wouldn't be him.
You wouldn't be him.
You'd learn a lot.
But you'd learn a hell of a lot about how to improvise, about how melody works.
Phrasing.
We're talking about one of the great geniuses in music history, the great Charlie Yardbird Parker, born August 29th, 1920. Kansas City, Missouri is in the house today,
That's
Peter,
right.
in a lot of different ways. I'm so stoked we're listening to this album, Charlie Parker with Strings, one of the greatest bebop albums, even though it's not a bebop album.
It's not a bebop album, and there's like 17 different versions of it that all look close to this.
Yeah.
There's that. But I mean, it's kind of a phenomenon, right? When we talk about Charlie Parker with Strings, this has been repackaged many times. This is kind of, well, this is a CD, but this is some cool like Japanese editions I used to buy where they'd make it look like the original LP that was very short with only 6 tunes on it.
No, it
wasn't even an LP. What was that called? Like an EP or
something?
I
mean, before the mid-50s, albums were they weren't really a thing, right?
No.
So like when we addressed this when we did our Louis Armstrong episode, there weren't any albums back then. It was just all these singles, right? All of these.
And even that, because of the 78s that were limited in time, 3.5 minutes or something, depending on how dense
very
they were.
short records that you would have to get. And so this was still in that era. So it started off as, like you said, a collection of 6 songs that were all about 2.5 to 3.5 minutes long. It was released
and that was all the what we're calling the 1949 sessions.
The first
right?
6 tracks on what we now know is Charlie Parker with Strings. What's been released on CD is these 14 tracks. The first 6 were recorded in 1949. They were so successful that they recorded 8 more in a session the year later.
Yeah.
It's on the Mercury record label, produced by Norman Granz, who I'm sure we'll talk about. Norman Granz loved to repackage his albums, by the way. He was like the original influencer that would like repackage content again and again. He would take this album and do it like 3 more times with 3 different kind of titles and everything. Very, very interesting.
Now this actually says Clef Records. I wonder if that was one of the repackagings or if that was the original.
No, I have here on my show notes Mercury, but maybe that's I don't know.
A subsidiary, LLC of. It's all good. Nobody cares.
So produced by Norman Granz. The rhythm section of this is pretty awesome. Ray Brown on the bass, Buddy Rich on the drums. You know, they were also playing a lot at this time with Bud Powell.
Yep.
And so to be on this album, they were playing a lot with Charlie Parker too. And then, like you said, Stan Freeman on piano. I don't know Stan's work other than this, honestly, if I'm being...
Well, you can see him a little bit. We'll put a picture up here too from the original album. That's him right in the corner here. See?
Oh, yeah, there he is.
On the
I mean, he sounds good, man. He sounds really good.
Yeah.
But Bernie Layton is playing piano on the 1950 sessions. It's still Ray Brown and Buddy Rich on those 50 sessions, but a different pianist. So, and then there's the whole string section. And then there's, of course, on these first 6 tracks, Mitch Miller on the oboe. Maybe the English one. I thought it was the oboe, but maybe it's the
he did he played both. That sounded, I mean.
It was a little catty. The tone might have been an E-horn. Cor Anglais.
Yes, exactly. Which can be a beautiful instrument. Let's just put that out there.
Shout out Callie Banham of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, a beautiful Cor Anglais player.
I just want to say, because you mentioned Ray Brown, whose name I'm sure is going to come up again. First of all, like was he the Forrest Gump of jazz? Like always at the right place at the right time, but actually impacting it. Like, right? You know,
I would never
Tatum, Oscar Peterson,
ever
Charlie
call
Parker.
him the Forrest Gump of anything.
Well,
but he is a through line in the history of music.
Yes.
From the very beginnings. I mean, really, he's been around. And,
Yeah.
and all the way to like you played with him.
I played with him, which I mean,
I saw him when in my lifetime.
It's stunning to think about that. The level that he maintained, the longevity of his career, but with his intersection. I mean, the fact that I'm like one player kind of removed from this is really an honor. And
you'd have sound killing on this. You would have done even better than Stan Freeman, Peter.
Well, you know what? That solo is so good on Just Friends. I've always loved that solo, and I think that might have been written out. And that's no shade on Stan. Like look,
you're blowing with Bird. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, not necessarily written out, but just like pre-planned. And that's not like, what are you saying? I mean, Art Tatum did. I've heard him do several versions of several tunes where his solo was very, very close to that. It just had that kind of feel to it, which is no problem because it felt improvisatory. But I wonder about that.
Let's.
It's better to plan out your solo and kill it like that than to get intimidated because Charlie Parker and Ray Brown are sitting right
he's
there.
like, I bet a lot of people are going to hear this over the next 65, 75 years. Yeah. Let's go back a little bit to Charlie Parker's beginnings from Kansas City, Missouri, just down the road here originally. There's actually...
Was he Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I'll look that up as
you're
telling. Yeah.
But there is a giant sculpture of his head in Kansas City, which is right
Kansas
by
City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri,
Right.
which is right by the Blue Room. And so it's pretty cool. You can sort of like walk in Bird's footsteps over there in KC. And shout out to all the amazing musicians carrying that torch over there. Kansas City still has a great
the
jazz
tradition.
scene.
Count Basie, Jay McShann, right? Charlie Parker. I mean,
yeah. Well, let's get into
Kansas
it.
City, Kansas. I'm
Kansas
glad
City,
we corrected
Kansas.
that because
Yeah,
they're
all
very territorial. Even
know.
though if you've been to Kansas City, you just walk across the street. It
It's
seems
not
like
that
the
big a
same.
deal. Yeah, it's the same city.
He said it. He said it. Not me.
Well, let's go back to Jay McShann. So Jay McShann, incredible artist, again, in that Kansas City scene. This is Swingmatism. This is the earliest known recording, like a studio recording of Charlie Parker. This is from 1941. It's a pretty swinging band.
Yeah.
Man, swing music felt so amazing. You know, in Kansas City.
This whole band is wearing like a suit, pants, jacket with multiple pockets on them.
Dude.
There's pockets all up and on the legs. Tight too. He was 20 or 21 when he was
Yeah.
Wow. Jay McShann.
So, not bebop.
No.
Charlie Parker.
Bebop, right?
There's the beginnings.
Whoa.
It's not quite,
No.
you know, Cherokee yet.
No.
It's not, but
No.
this. What a sound too
Yeah.
already as a young
It's
musician.
totally recognizable.
So-
yeah, the sound, the bluesy part kind of always stayed along, but it was way more bebop when he broke through with that.
So already known prodigiously, even in 1941. You know, there's these great stories of when he was a teenager and he plays a show or a jam. I forget, it's a show or a jam session somewhere, but he wasn't
Sham session,
a sham session, but he wasn't sounding great, and the drummer threw a cymbal at him.
right? Probably never happened.
And yeah, this all is probably lore or whatever. But he was, the lore goes then after that, he practiced for
Right.
hours and hours every day, and until he got better, right? Like
Right.
he was shamed into become, like he said, for years, then I practiced. The lore was he was this like magnificent practicer, and that's what sort of led him to not only becoming this great player, but really helping to invent and evolve what would later become known as bebop. And here is Charlie Parker himself talking to, we'll first hear the voice of alto saxophonist Paul Desmond, and talking
Oh,
about
that's great interview.
Bird on his practice.
I can't see where there's anything fantastic about it at all. I put quite a bit of study into the horn, that's true. In fact, the neighbors threatened to ask my mother to move once when I was living out west. I mean, they said I was driving them crazy with the horn. I used to put in at least 11 to 15 hours a day.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's what I wondered.
That's true, yes. I did that for over a period of 3 or 4 years.
Oh.
Whoa, 10,000 hours.
That's
That
the
adds up.
answer.
Well, that's the facts anyway.
I guess that's the answer. That's the facts.
anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean,
but
11 to
think about-
15 hours over 3 years every day. you know?
Right. But coming out of that story, whether it happened or not, with throwing the symbol, it's like, isn't that it's the Michael Jordan? He didn't make his JV
Totally.
team, and then
Totally.
he's like, "Oh, I'm going to come back and show
Yeah.
them."
Chip on your shoulder.
chip on the shoulder
kind of playing.
But I don't know if you know what year that interview was, but I mean, Charlie Parker died when he was 34 years old. So we always think about it, he's like, oh, it almost sounds like this is a 60-year-old man looking back on his career. No, this is a young person.
Yeah, in his early 30s at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was in the early 50s.
With that kind of perspective, but also that kind of accuracy with laying out things in an interview, even away from the horn. Amazing.
So just a few years later, he moves to New York City.
The city that never sleeps?
City that never sleeps. At least back then it was. I don't know. It goes to sleep about 11:30 these days.
That's right.
But no, this is when he met people like Dizzy Gillespie and Bud Powell and Thelonious Monk, and they started recording for the Savoy level and the Dial label in these.
Were those all owned by Norman Granz? Was he running multiple?
He might have been. Norman Granz plays a heavy role in the early development of this music. But now's the time for those very famous Savoy and Dial master recordings.
Oh, classic.
Miles Davis on the trumpet, a young Miles Davis on the trumpet.
Straight out of East St. Louis, Illinois. Had that Miles sound already, though.
You know who that is?
Is that Monk?
No. See if you can tell.
What?
See if you can hear it.
Okay.
You don't have a chance.
Could be Bud Powell. Could be very spotty, but he wouldn't have been playing that long. Ooh.
So you can hear Bird has already started to develop a more rhythmically precise, outlining the chord changes kind of bebop style.
Yeah. This solo.
That double time solo feel.
Yeah. This is probably.
But you slow this down, man. Pure melody.
Yeah.
Pure melody.
Well, even at this tempo, even at the double time. This is probably.
Milesing.
Yeah. Ooh, this drops down a little bit when Bird's not playing. Let's just put that out there. Am I wrong?
Man, Miles is so good, though. I mean, he's
I know,
I'm just 17 or 18 or something.
No, yeah, he's fine. I mean,
it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah. It's almost like this is Miles is at the place that Charlie Parker was on the Jay McShann. Probably the same age,
he was.
too.
Young man.
But what you hear is the sound.
Sound is amazing.
Your technique.
And some Milesisms already creeping in.
And the St. Louis trumpet sounds already there.
Okay. So now's the time. So that's from one of the first sessions that they did for the Savoy label. And
can I just say too, that solo, and there's another version of Now's the Time, but this particular one, actually the other one is the one that I remember learning. I learned not a lot, but there's a lot. Charlie Parker solos, they're so good. Highly recommend no matter what instrument you play. But that version is probably, wouldn't you say that's like the most influential for saxophone players and maybe even for other instruments as well, jazz solos of all time?
100%.
Like that people transcribed or learned.
For sure. I mean, we've already talked about the Just Friends solo, how iconic that is.
Right, but this is the one that like everybody knows,
For sure. So interesting thing on this session, the piano player, right?
Yeah.
So a pianist from, I believe from Minneapolis, Sadiq Hakim, was on the session, but had his cabaret card pulled. They pulled their union card, and he didn't have an up-to-date cabaret card through this session.
Okay.
But there was another musician hanging out at the session, and his name was Dizzy Gillespie, and he could play some piano. So he's playing piano on the first like six tracks of the Savoy Dial records.
Yeah.
It's Dizzy playing piano,
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
it's Dizzy playing piano. Not only that, but they go on to do something that, one of the hallmarks of bebop came to be known as a contrafact. Well, it was already known as a contrafact, but it became to be one of the hallmarks of bebop.
Yeah.
And that starts from these early Savoy recordings, these early bebop recordings, Peter.
Yep.
They're already doing contrafacts. Now, a contrafact is a tune that is built over the chord changes of another song.
So that's the harmonic underpinnings, the progression, the timing of it, the chords, everything but the melody, basically.
Everything but the melody. Now, this happens like live in real time on this session. I came across this incredible NPR piece from the year 2000 interviewing...
I'm a member, by the way.
Interviewing historian Phil Schaap on these sessions and the tune Koko. You know the tune Koko? So Koko is a contrafact based on Cherokee, the Ray Noble tune Cherokee.
Right.
And apparently, when they were in these sessions, the record executive who was there said, I don't want to pay for Cherokee.
Right.
You're going to do a contrafact, meaning you're going to write your own tune over these changes. Here's Phil Schaap talking about that.
On the outtake, they play the very same arrangement that is Koko, and then they jump into the melody of Cherokee, and Teddy would go, hold it, you can't play. And it cuts like that. You can't play Cherokee, you can't play the melody. My boss, Herman Lubinsky of Savoy Records, he's making a fortune by using chord structures of pre-existing tunes and placing new melodies on them. Or even if there's no melody, calling it a new tune. That's his gig. That's his scene. And of course, that is the device of bebop composition, most divinely for Charlie Parker when playing the ambitious changes of Ray Noble's Cherokee.
Check it out. This is what we all know as Koko.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen. He literally,
Hey, I feel money coming out of my pockets.
that's the head of Savoy Records saying, like, I'm not paying for that. You guys
Right.
need to do something else. So they did, and it was Koko. Here's the version that made it on those first Savoy recordings. Now, what's cool is this is from the same session we just listened to, Now's the Time. So these are classic. These like molded what we know now as the bebop sound in the mid-40s. So from that same session where the pianist couldn't continue the session, Dizzy Gillespie was there. Apparently, a young Miles Davis, who was just a kid, teenager on this session, couldn't really hang on Koko. And so Dizzy was there. Dizzy used Miles's trumpet. This is the lore.
Yeah.
Miles's trumpet, Miles's mouthpiece, and played the intro on the piano, and then went and played the trumpet on this tune. Sorry, intro on trumpet, and the rest of the tune on piano.
That's classic Dizzy.
Woo! Now Dizzy's heading over to the piano.
Like bebop was walking the bar. This is great because you hear Dizzy over that bridge is playing like a really good trumpet player that can play some piano.
Yeah.
Like he's knowing what not to, like he's very
giving you
intentional.
what is needed and
he's
nothing
not
more.
playing every chord because he's not there, but he's doing it.
Bird is just crushing it.
Yeah. Every phrase.
Every phrase is a masterpiece. It's humbling listening to Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
Like famously, people talk about like he never played a wrong note. Like it's very in all the recordings, and there's a bunch of them. it's hard to find him playing anything without total conviction, and also anything that's not like beautifully composed as a piece of melody.
Yeah, it's. I mean, his playing is highly, highly melodic. Of course, on the Parker with strings, you hear it even more so because of the setting and because of the limitations around it. But even when he's going crazy, like at this tempo, it's really stunning. And this is stuff I'd encourage you, like if you're hearing this for the first time, or maybe you've kind of heard it, but you're like, wait, what is bebop? Is that like the hipsters with the beanies? And like, no, forget all that. This kind of thing is, I know it may seem like a heavy lift, especially if you jump right into this, but like listen to the Now's the Time first, and then spice in a little bit of this, a little bit of the Charlie Parker with strings. But the more you listen to this is a fine wine that once you start to understand the stuff in there, it's stunning. It's got the blues. It's got like his attenuation with the phrasing in the time. Unmatched. Unmatched.
We also have to make no mistake here. This is an intellectual heavyweight, Charlie Parker. This is a musically gifted, intellectual genius who's really like trying to push music somewhere, who's trying to give the music that he loves, which is swing and this early jazz style that he started playing in Kansas City, but push it to new heights, to do things that nobody else was doing at this time.
And I mean, in the movie look, an episode about Charlie Parker, we have to at least mention Clint Eastwood's Bird movie, I think the name of it was Bird, with Forrest Whitaker, which is, I think it's a problematic movie. It's a controversial movie, but I think it's a really good movie, at least part of it. And he's definitely portrayed as a musical and intellectual genius to a certain extent. Then he's also portrayed as a drug addict and some of the more stereotypical Hollywood things. So I mean, it's beyond us to tackle all that in this episode, but it's just to say that like that reference point of how you just described it, like was who he was, how he was known, the 11 to 15 hours of practice, how you lead up to all this prodigious output by the time you're 34 years old. And I mean, the impact that he has to this day on music, you talk about everything
100%.
From Dizzy and Max Roach, the guys that he came up with, but also your Lou Donalds, every saxophone player, John Cole, like everybody has to go through, like he's the one unavoidable saxophonist.
We literally
you have to go through him.
Just heard it at the Super Bowl in Kenny G's playing, of all people, but it's unavoidable. Charlie Parker is something that all musicians, not just saxophonists, but all of us at a certain point deal with. If you have any touchstone with Black American music or with jazz, you are going to touch upon that bebop sound, and that was honed by Bird and Diz.
Bad Bunny as well. That's what I thought you were bringing up. Maybe not.
And shout out Bud Powell, too, who's also one of the architects of the music. Also,
and Thelonious Monk.
And Thelonious Monk. These are like artistic and intellectual heavyweights. I just want to make...
And Miles.
A little
too.
later, but but for real.
Coming out of the bebop thing.
So the problem is, though, Peter, like you mentioned, like it's a heavy lift. This is underground music. This is like punk rock before there was punk rock. They were doing this to be a little bit difficult, right? To be like, I mean, they're making music for the people is who they're making for, but they're not trying to do this commercial stuff. Well, they got to eat, they got to live.
Yeah.
How do you sell this to a broader public? And this is where Norman Granz sort of steps in. He starts these live concert series, live at the Philharmonic, where he's taking all of these, a bunch of different kinds of musicians, swing musicians, Lester Young, Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but great stuff.
Great stuff.
I mean, he didn't really, he kept the bar high from the programs I've seen in the live records.
Yeah, everybody's a monster on these tours. And so he would take them around America. And then him and Charlie Parker had this idea. And actually there's different stories about how the Charlie Parker with strings happened, Peter. But a lot of stories about how this was actually Charlie Parker's push to make this album. Like, not that he wanted to be more commercially viable, which is what you immediately think of when you think of this album. I think of okay, they're trying to dress up Bird and the bebop sound in this lush, like you said, Hollywood sheen of the strings and these gorgeous arrangements. But this is something that Charlie Parker was actually artistically interested in pursuing on his own. And so, this isn't just just put strings on it and make it. No,
he had a vision. He could hear. And whether or not this is exactly what he envisioned, maybe not some parts of it, but the overall concept and stuff. Sure. And it was even said, and this is really a verified story, at least it's from several sources, that, literally on his deathbed, when the doctor that was helping to care for him, he asked something, what should I listen to of yours? What represents you? Asking Charlie Parker. And he said April in Paris from this recording.
The best strings on the whole album.
string playing on here too.
Yeah, this is my favorite arrangement, I think. What a great tune, too.
Yeah. Oh, and when the strings go out there, what a beautiful opening of the closing of the curtain. Go back and forth. I think this is what Charlie Parker really had a vision for, like playing in the cracks, you know. Like that's some of his most
Or
inspired.
this.
Look at his face. It's the elephant. It's the oboe in the room. It's the oboe in the room. Or that might be the English one. You should have Stan Freeman did a little better. Speaking of Stan.
A block chord solo here.
Yeah. Don't. You're not going to soar above Charlie Parker. Don't even try. Mitch. Kicked me.
What a sound.
And then they don't have, like, the recording technology had not quite turned the corner to have, like, 5 years later, this would have been, like,
so lush.
but it still, like, comes through the playing, his sound, and the orchestra, rhythm section, almost everybody.
Say almost everyone. Oh, poor Double M. Killing.
That's some high level. That's the A-list right there.
Do it, Stan.
Were these Mitch Miller arrangements?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because I was going to say, hats off
So-
to the arrangements, because they're great. I mean, they're like these kind of arrangements, I would say, sit in that space. Like, you can't say they're not dated, because this does date it in a way that, like, Charlie Parker's playing is kind of, you could also say it's dated, but it's like it's kind of like, oh my God, you remember that time
Charlie
when,
Parker's playing is timeless, man.
yeah, it's
Truly.
timeless. But I would say the
Truly.
range, okay, yeah, maybe not on the choir, but I mean, it's very, like, it's evocative of that Hollywood sound or whatever, but it's so well executed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing revolutionary about that string, right? It's just very well done, great players. And then, Parker is really playing some transcendental, like, transcendent, I should say. Transcendent things with the wrapper of this beautiful sound and melodic playing.
It's
But then when
gorgeous.
you dig underneath it, you're like, that's never been done.
That's exactly right.
It's never been
It's
done.
like this incredibly beautiful packaging. Like you said, the sound quality of it is still in the late 40s. We're still in 1949.
Although this is probably some of the best for the late 40s.
It's
like,
good.
This is very good at
It's good, but it's like you said, it's not hi-fi.
No.
It's like if this were in the early 60s, there'd be this big lug string sound, and you'd hear the
They'd have
piano.
the Rumors
You'd hear the
engineer
bass.
in studio.
Oh God, they had the Rumors engineer. No, but it is this very beautiful wrapping. But then when you get into the meat of what Bird is playing, the star of this album, it is some of the greatest, again, revolutionary kind of music of this time that nobody else could do at this time. Like nobody else is playing like this. Nobody is at this level.
And some of the best, we already heard some of that, like with Dizzy and stuff, like Miles, like some of the best, Ray Brown, like this is not to be like, oh, they're falling. I mean, you've got the A players, right?
Oh,
with
yeah.
them.
Buddy Rich and Ray Brown
Dizzy
were
Gil-
the battery for this time.
Yeah, and Dizzy Gillespie was doing revolutionary things with the trumpet with him. But Charlie Parker, even if it's just a small, like he's the A+. Everyone, not that we're rating.
Let's talk a
Because
little
we're
bit
not.
about Mitch Miller. So Mitch Miller is playing oboe on these first 6 tracks from the 1949 sessions.
And he's on the album cover, which is strange.
It is weird that he's on the album cover.
Yeah.
He's a controversial figure in not just this album, but I think after this as well. He was
Yeah.
the head of A&R for Mercury, the album that this label was on.
Yeah.
And then ends up playing oboe on it. I'm not sure how that happened, but it is You don't hear about that every day, that kind of circumstance.
Yeah, and I don't know.
He would go on, by the way, to be, right after this, the
Yeah.
head of A&R Columbia album,
Yeah.
which is a huge job.
Huge career, and made amazing records, but was
Frank Sinatra, like that.
Yeah, and Tony Bennett, but it also was controversial there. Sinatra, I don't think there's some quotes about him not really liking the material that they didn't, they butted heads. That
Frank and Mitch Miller did?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
that Mitch Miller, he wanted him to go more schlocky kind of tunes, and Sinatra was just like, no, well, although he did at least some of it, and felt like that was part of his fall off during the Columbia period. He attributes that to Mitch Miller.
The only grace,
I don't know.
I mean, the biggest grace that I give Mitch Miller on here is that I believe that Bird did have a vision for this.
Yeah.
And so if this is what Bird wanted on this, I'm happy that it happened and that he got his vision fulfilled.
And if Mitch Miller was a part, he must have been part of making that happen.
Had to have been. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Norman Granz just had great taste. From everything I've seen.
That's an
I
understatement.
know that there's some like
incredible taste.
There's some like management and booking and percentages. There's some things I've heard, but I mean, all I can go on in terms of seeing what he did. But I do want to just shout out because
you're right, working with amazing artists his whole career.
Yeah, I mean, I know Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, he worked with Ella Fitzgerald, managing, booking her, doing her whole financial thing, everything for her entire life.
Yeah,
and but I just wanted to mention, because you said about Norman Granz with Jazz at the Philharmonic and that great series and everything. And, 1948, there was the Benny Goodman at Carnegie Hall was like a watershed moment as far as like jazz, starting to get its due. I mean, this was a very controversial period, this like at post-World War II period, even in New York City, one of the most progressive places in the United States. Pre-civil rights movement, I mean, beginnings of civil rights movement for sure, but a lot of African-American GIs coming back that fought for a country that were marginalized, not just in the Deep South, I mean, the Deep South, Jim Crow and just horrible things still happening, but even like New York and stuff. So with jazz, and then bebop in particular seems to have occupied this space, late 40s, early 50s, up to the mid 50s, and then you get into the Miles Davis superstardom period and Sonny Rollins and all this, but of like almost... because of different things that happened, television appearances and stuff, integrated bands, which still wasn't happening in a lot of the part of the country, bebop and stuff was a real breakthrough with
100%.
that, and so a lot is always attributed to the Benny Goodman with his great band, an integrated band going into Carnegie Hall in 1948, as this like jazz has arrived and it's a civil rights moment. Only it could happen in New York City, and the USA is turning the corner on this and everything, but 1947 at Carnegie Hall, gentleman by the name of Leonard Feather, the great...
What a name.
Yeah, Leonard Feather.
Great name.
He feathered up his pen. He had a feather boa put around him.
Your last name is Feather, and you go with Leonard for the first name of the baby. Leonard Feather. It's a fun name to say, Leonard.
It is fun.
Especially if you Leonard Feather.
If you lent a feather to Leonard Feather. Yeah. So he presented Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Dizzy and his orchestra, Ella Fitzgerald, in 1947, a full year before, at a concert. There's some great pictures. Maybe we'll put up some of those. They're a little bit hard to find, but it's a very interesting period, though. So Charlie Parker was like on some of these big stages, these so-called classical, kind of classical stamp of approval thing. And then what's the thing about? Do we want to get into the Stravinsky thing now, or do we want to save that?
Get into it.
Okay, 1951. Leonard legend goes Parker was playing at Birdland, with a club famously named after him that he got banned from for a while, when he learned Stravinsky was in the audience. Of course, a great composer. Stravinsky, Parker calls for the band to play the ridiculously fast aforementioned Koko that you've shared with us. Charlie goes into a solo and casually inserts the beginning of Stravinsky's Firebird Suite, which is not that, it's not hard, it's not easy to throw anything in the beginning of Koko.
The quoting Firebird Suite, though, in Koko is damn impressive.
Yeah, Stravinsky, hearing this, starts pounding the table so hard he knocks his glass over.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. Well, let's move on maybe to another. Speaking of Stravinsky, who was a 20th century classical composer, there is a song, the next song on this album, in fact, that was written by one of Stravinsky's contemporaries.
Contemporaries or competitors?
Well,
you'll hear it.
It's amazing. Celesta. Harp.
They give it a little. This is very similar to the original writing.
George Gershwin's Summertime, of course.
Little play that part enough.
So good, man. Love this chord. One of my favorite parts about this album is how much melody there is.
Yeah.
As much amazing improvisation and the bebop lines that we're getting from Charlie Parker, which, I don't know if this is controversial, Peter. Is this his best playing?
I mean,
is that a hot
It
take?
ain't his worst.
This might be his overall.
I think for his, it's the most easily lovable I can say of his playing. It's like
a big piece of apple pie or something. It's just
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, but it's not like a sugary apple pie where you get sick afterwards. Like you can keep eating it, and it's very nourishing. So I wouldn't argue with it at all. I mean, and I think because of the with strings, even though it does have different iterations and it jumps years with the different sessions and personnel, I think that frames it in a way that feels like an album.
Yeah.
For Charlie Parker in a way that none of his other stuff. The early stuff is great, but it's all like put together singles, and we've heard him in a lot of I used to have cassettes. The first Charlie Parker I had was that.
Yeah.
Remember that thing that was like Walkman cassette or something with that weird series? What was it called? I can't remember. Anyway, Pocket something.
I'm not that old.
What you talking about, the bad cassette? Don't you still have that in your car, man? No, but it's like how we first consume these songs, and in the order you think, oh, this is the album because we come up in the time of albums, right?
Yeah.
But none of that stuff. Those are all tracks that were recorded and then, as you said, put together separately and then passed around and then sold, and now it's just a hodgepodge. But this does have the feel because you have that unifying factor of the strings and the rhythm section. And
shout out to on these first 6 tracks here on the first sessions. They are arranged and conducted by Jimmy Carroll.
Okay.
So I just want to give Jimmy a shout out because these arrangements are incredible. Like that Summertime arrangement is so good. Just like little details you can hear. He's really bringing it out.
And so this speaks to like the time that I came up and a little bit of the time that you came up as being a wonderful time, but also, do you remember when like disinformation used to just like fester for months and years because we didn't have a little device to check anything?
It's true.
It was kind of an exciting time though. Like, so I had it in my mind because when I first heard this, when I was getting into Charlie Parker, and I remember getting that cassette. No, that wasn't the cassette. I got this on album, actually.
Okay.
But it was a repackaging thing. And I remember my dad was like, wait, who is that? And he's looking at the record. He's like, oh, Mitch Miller. He's like, ha, that's funny. He's like, he doesn't sound good on this. And I said, well, and then turns out my dad had worked with Mitch Miller a little bit as Mitch was conducting.
Your dad, Bill, is a violist.
Violist in the St. Louis Symphony, and he worked with, and that's not why he was saying he didn't sound great. I think it was more of a comparison to his improvisation, as we heard right after Charlie Parker.
It's hard to sound good after
It's hard to sound good after that. But I always had it in my mind that like, oh, was the arranger and the conductor of this, so at least has all these, that connection, but I'm glad to know Jimmy Carroll now.
Jimmy Carroll, and just crushing this. But there were these 2 sessions. So like I said, this one did really well. And with Norman Granz, if something does well, he's going to do it again again and again and again. And he did. Did he like
to return to the well of greatness? Is that what you're saying?
He loved going to the well. I mean, hey, we're no stranger to it here at the You'll Hear It podcast. Let's be honest. How many Stevie Wonder episodes are we going to do? I hope.
Fulfilling this first finale coming soon.
I hope dozens. I hope dozens. But they made another album, or not even. It is an album. It's 8 songs in 1950. The very next
gaggle
year,
of tunes.
It's a different sessions. I couldn't actually find out who is the conductor or arranger on this session, but it's the same rhythm section of Ray Brown and Buddy Rich on the bass and drums respectively. But the different piano player is Bernie Layton on piano. This is from that session. This is Out of Nowhere. You can hear the difference
already. Yeah. In the recording technology.
not Mitch Miller.
Oh, really? This is a different arranger.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
I couldn't find the information on the arranger for this session.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like Jimmy Kimmel. Already a little more syrupy. There might be more strings here, actually.
Yeah, it sounds bigger. It's interesting that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So good. Hey.
man, he's even looser on this.
Looser.
Yeah.
It's a nice overtime.
It is, man. It's a little better placed in the mix, too. So, man, it's like Charlie Parker was right up on the mic, recorded beautifully. Everyone else is like in the corner of the room or something, you know?
There's some lore about the piano on both of these. Bird wanted Bud. Bird wanted Bud Powell. Bud Powell nobody could find him around this time because he had gotten in a fight with some law enforcement officers who were getting in a fight with Thelonious Monk. And
right.
This is like, who knows how true this all is,
Yeah.
right? But this is the lore, and he wasn't available for the session.
Right.
So,
He would have been a good call.
he would have been a great call. Not that, no shade to Stan or to Bernie Layton there, but it's a tough call.
Yeah.
Like, going toe-to-toe with Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting if Bud Powell would have been on these sessions for sure.
sure.
Hey, Peter,
Hey, Adam.
we keep seeing in the comments, when are you guys going to release an album?
We have two.
We do have two. We have Sparks and we have Groove Adjacent. They're both available.
That's not the names. It's I Sparks and I Groove Adjacent.
Those are Roman numerals,
Oh,
buddy.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, one Sparks, two Groove Adjacent. Got it.
They're on Apple Music. They're on Spotify. They're
Yeah.
on YouTube. We also have a Tracks YouTube channel where you can listen to all of these. You can check out the links in the show notes. And, by the way, we do have our own version of Just Friends at the end of this episode you can check out.
Yeah. Open Studio Music.
Back to the show. Okay. Cool. Peter, what do you want to hear? We got Laura. We got East of the Sun. Let's hear East of the Sun.
Is it Laura or Laura?
Laura.
Laura.
I mean, from South St. Louis, it's Laura. Laura? Lara?
Laura and Jeremy?
Jeremy and Laura? That sounds like my Uncle Frank.
Dream house. Man, eminently lyrical Bird's playing.
You can hear every word.
Oh my!
You
Yeah,
can hear
that's why
every
I
lyric.
didn't even think I knew
Yeah.
the words to this, but now I remember them. Little French horn. A little overseas action there. A little trip down under. No, not.
French horn crushes every time. What a melodic instrument.
Man, Bird on the alto. Such a vocal, lyrical kind of
Yeah, dude.
French horny cello. You know?
His sound here is even warmer than before, too.
His intonation. Damn. Where are we in Istanbul now for a couple bars? What's going on? Marrakesh? Putumayo? grooviness.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think Bird's like, he was known for being such a great double time player, having so much facility. And by double time, it's like, here's the groove, right? And so he's that's the regular. That's the double time. But like, I think as good as that was, it was his ability to slide in and out of it with cool stuff kind of in between there. It was never like a machine, It was always
Not at all.
No, it was like like, man, such innovative ways of getting in and out of it.
Ease, relaxation, and lyrical, like you said, above all. And he's never that far away from the melody or the blues.
No.
It's
And
all
I think-
right there at the surface.
I think when he was doing these sessions, I think he set an intention for his session. We talk about setting an intention for our practice at yoga. He definitely set an intention
Say more.
to kill it.
Oh, to kill it.
Yeah,
That was
just to
okay.
come in and kill it. You know what I'm saying?
Say less.
Like you can just say medium amount. No, I mean, it's just like he's got that intention. Like there's the spontaneity, but like I don't buy this like, oh, he's a crazy savage genius. He just put a horn in his mouth and he can play. That's bullshit. It was like, but it's also like he knew how to take the intellectual command of, like, if you know music, you know how hard this stuff and how revolutionary it was at that time. Even today, if you come out and play like this, people can be like, but then like he had the beauty and the soul and the sound with that as well. It's a very sophisticated thing. And you could be like, well, he was super talented. He was. But you could also be like, he's super like practiced a whole bunch. So that can come out sounding a certain way. So it's like he's a tastemaker of his own playing and stuff. So he's able to put this together, respond to the situations, play. I mean, this stuff is hard to navigate with those really thick arrangements. There's only like 2 or 4 bars on most of these arrangements where it's just the rhythm section in him.
Yeah.
And he has no problem with that.
None.
But he also has no problem getting in between the other stuff. Like he was the ultimate like listening. As much as he's playing, like he's listening and seeing how his thing could fit in.
I mean, you've played a bunch with strings. You know how it is when you get in a live room with an orchestra like this, even a small orchestra? It's intoxicating.
It is.
It is like you really are feeling the vibes, and I don't mean that in some esoteric way. I mean, literally you're feeling those sound vibrations all around you. It's intense. I remember the first time I was on stage with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, I thought I was going to have a panic attack because it was I was right in the middle for a pop show, right in the middle of violins.
Right.
And it was so intense, just like the feeling of being surrounded by all these musicians and the sounds that they can make.
It's like running into, like you're by yourself running into a gang, right? There's like 8 of them or 10 of them. They've all got violins.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's another, that's just the violins one, right?
Oh, the violas are who you got to really watch out for.
Right.
Man,
Watch your wallet.
One shout out on this whole album too is they picked banger after banger. So here's the track list of between both these sessions. So Just Friends, obviously.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Lovers No More.
Everything Happens to Me, an incredible song by Matt Dennis. Actually, it's a crazy
Matt
good
Denise,
song.
isn't it?
The lyrics of it are wonderful. April in Paris, Summertime, I Didn't Know What Time It Was, which is an amazing song. If I Should Lose You, Dancing in the Dark, Out of Nowhere, Laura, East of the Sun and West of the Moon. They can't take that away from me. Easy to Love, I'm in the Mood for Love, and then it ends with I'll Remember April. That's a great.
Which I think was actually the first. Was this? No, April in Paris was the first on the original.
What a song.
Very Oboe-centric recordings, even when Mitch isn't there.
I think it's so to the oboe.
Yeah.
I think it's a very period-specific thing. You don't hear, even in the context of instrumental recordings, the oboe used as much as even like the clarinet or the flute you would today.
Right.
Oboe is, I don't want to say it's lost favor, but it was definitely more popular
Yeah.
as a melodic device. Like when you listen to soundtracks to these old movies, oboe's everywhere.
I know.
Absolutely everywhere.
Wasn't there a certain, I mean, I was joking earlier about trip over, but wasn't there a certain amount of exoticism during this time with hearing, like that was kind of what you were putting into Putumayoizing that sort of sound there, maybe?
Maybe there is some of that, of like the sort of like, exoticism of the sound. Yeah, I hear it. You know, the thing that strikes me about it here is, as an interesting choice, is it's close to the alto saxophone in both range and in the timbre. I mean, obviously,
but not in terms of number of reeds. That would be a double reed,
it's
my
two
friend.
reeds. But isn't it like what would this sound like if they would have chose the cello as the
counter
or the French horn,
counter,
or a clarinet or some other reed?
Yeah,
I think, or even a bassoon, which would have been in a different range. You know what I mean?
Right.
I do think that's interesting that they chose on most of these songs the counter instrument is in a similar range.
Yeah,
and it's a little bit more of a harsher but reed sound as opposed to like a brass or a string.
Well, it is interesting, and you're speaking somewhat lovingly of it. I will note, we're not there yet, but when we get to quibble bits, it's possible that this instrument may show up in both of our assessments. But I digress. My prelude.
Well, let's get to our categories. Speaking of them, Desert Island tracks off of this. What do you got?
I mean, Just Friends.
That's you can't argue with that.
Which is the last track on the original, and I think was the first track on here. And I just think that, it's gonna come up again in the apex moment. So I'll wait to tell the rest of my story.
My Desert Island track is Summertime. I love the
call.
arrangement. I also love the tune Summertime. I know it's overplayed at this point. Everybody from
it may be the strongest composition and track and everything. Certainly the bluesiness.
I'm still a sucker for it, dude.
It's so great.
I love it.
No,
I love it.
I mean, it's probably a little bit stronger of a song than Just Friends. I read though that Charlie Parker apparently loved Just Friends. That was like his favorite standard.
Well, you can hear it in the way that he plays it.
And so maybe that's what pushes it over the edge for me. I think it's a flawless solo too, which is very rare that you hear so many notes.
Well, I think this is going to lead into our apex moments. What is your apex moment?
Well, at 121 on Just Friend, kind of the second of his 3 or 4 solos. When it after the Mitch solo. So, but when it transposes up a little bit.
Let's hear it.
So swinging.
Yeah. A little bit of Jay McShann in there.
Yeah. It's crazy. This. Oh man, it's so weird.
Oh my God, that's great.
And then back to so many little things. Pull back a little bit. Every phrase perfect.
Every phrase is perfect.
And crazy, varied, Yeah, so I mean, I realize that's a lot of apex moments, but he jumps back in there. I mean, the earlier solo is better, the later stuff, but that whole period there, it's just banger after, and it can kind of be that's too much. Somehow he pulls it off.
He pulls it off.
My
favorite part of this whole album, my apex moment, the moment that I think about when I think about the album is the intro to April in Paris, and then when Bird enters.
This is the most epic moment too, probably.
It's everything I love. So I write for strings. Yeah. I fancy myself a nice pops orchestra writer. I like to write pop stuff for the orchestra.
To schlock it up every now and then.
Buddy, don't tempt me with a good time because I will schlock the hell out of that arrangement.
That's a good schlock.
But I love that stuff, man. Those old Hollywood strings. We were having lunch with our friend Sean Weil, who plays with the St. Louis Symphony, and they were doing, they do these orchestras now. They do these programs where they'll do a film, and the orchestra will play the music to the film, and they were playing the music to Wizard of Oz. Yeah. That stuff is written so well. Those string parts are written so beautifully, and this is among my favorites of that era.
I totally agree, and I think it's when we talk, we're lovingly talking about schlock. We don't even actually know the name of the word. It just sounds fun, but it's this idea of when you write something so Hollywood, so typical, but then you just own it. The way the string plays, every one of them, and this is a small string. You can hear the individual players, but they're just digging in. And then when Bird comes in,
it's not more than 2 people apart, probably.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's it makes you think of the Hollywood fountain coming out of the swimming pool, but it's when he comes in, he does something very interesting. He doesn't like the obvious thing would be like ba-da-da-da. He comes in time. Yeah, it's like the pickup. It's like
so sophisticated.
It's like he just falls into the party. Hey, how you doing?
But it's so charming.
It's very, very
cool.
unique.
Bespoke,
Great call.
Thank you. Bespoke playlist title. What do you got?
Rugged Individualism.
Isn't that a cologne from the 80s?
That's right. By Drakkar Noir. No, I mean, I might even pull back on this. My thinking on this was like Charlie Parker really, like, this has been really good for me to listen to this again because I used to listen to this so much. I always felt like Charlie Parker just like carried this whole album. And obviously he does. Like you take away Charlie Parker from this and you give every one of those solos to Mitch Miller, it's not going to be the same thing, right?
I mean, this is a feature for Charlie Parker. Yeah,
it's
a showcase for his talents.
Right.
Yeah.
But like you find these different moments where like the orchestra is just killing it, and the arranging, none of it's like groundbreaking necessarily, the way that Charlie Parker. But that's more by contrast.
It's sweet. It's syrupy. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, but I do think, and the rhythm section playing is so strong. But anyway, Rugged Individualism.
I have Music Snob Cafe Jazz. You know all this crazy, stupid AI jazz playlist that you find?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like this.
No, like this is the one for the music snob.
Right.
Like if they want, like we're starting a cafe, but it's in like Queens and it's occupied by nothing but like 19-year-old hipsters. This is their cafe jazz.
I like it.
And this might actually.
And it's Japanese jazz only.
Right. Exactly,
Nothing recorded in the United States.
Okay, here we go. Quibble bits.
Okay, quibble bits. The oboe, the English horn, and then back to the oboe again. I feel this is an oboe. It's so distracting. I mean, look, the Mitch Miller solos, which we didn't harp on here because we're when he plays high, we go low. When he plays low, we play high.
Well, not usually, but we do now.
No, but the idea is like, yes, there's the element of, well, no one's going to sound good playing after Charlie Parker. I would say see above Stan Freeman. Stan Freeman? Stan Freeman on piano who held his own. So I just, I mean, those are, but am I punching down to well-tread territory to say that these are not great oboe solos on here? Obviously, Mitch Miller, from what I'm hearing, was an amazing oboe player in the classical field.
And both oboes, I think, sound great. It's just like we said, like it is a little distracting because it's so close to the alto. I just wonder.
Too.
Well, it might be, but my biggest quibble bit, honestly, I know I have here.
I want you to read
I wrote
what
in
you
here
have.
just because I know Peter's feelings on the oboe. I put in my quibble bit. Not enough.
I love the
oboe.
oboe. First of all, let me just say that.
I love the
think
oboe
it's
too. It's a beautiful instrument. No, I put it not enough oboe, which that was just for you, Peter.
More cowbell.
But as I'm listening to it, I realized, especially the first session, the first 6 tracks,
Yeah.
with these kinds of arrangements that Jimmy Carroll did, right?
Yeah.
These big, beautiful arrangements with all of these like diminished things that are happening inside the chords. If this would have been, instead of what I'm assuming was like a 12-piece orchestra of strings, or maybe 10, if this would have been 25 people.
You want to up the budget, my friend.
I think Norman, let's up the budget.
Right.
Or maybe Mitch. Mitch was the A&R guy for Mercury. Up the budget on this,
Well, he wanted
buddy?
his oboe to come through, apparently.
Maybe, but let's get some string players in here. Let's get
Right.
a real session of a real string orchestra to do these lush arrangements. And you
Right.
can hear it on the second sessions. It's not as much as even I would like
not
for that,
huge,
but it's better,
That's
and it makes the arrangements sound better.
That's a great take. And I mean, it really would have been different. And I think, sometimes we have the nostalgia and the connection with like, oh, everything's perfect. This is not a perfect record. I know we throw that term around. I said that I thought like, and I stand by that at least actually there may be other tunes too, but I think that there's not a note that is not perfect that Charlie Parker plays on Just Friends, on any of his solos on that.
It's on any of these solos.
Yeah, and it's not that there's not different choices that you could make, but I mean, it's just like each one is chef's kiss, chef's kiss, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Whereas the arrangements, the some of the oboes, these other things, like there's enough other stuff in this on this record where you're like, as a whole, and it's always a group effort, right? It's never just Charlie Parker playing alone. But he elevates this to the point where some of these whatever quibble bits that we are talking about kind of fall by the wayside just by the massive artistry that he brings to it.
They are just bits, after all. Snobometer, what do you got?
Well, okay, can I say what both of ours are?
Yeah.
Because I have a quibble bit with you.
Oh.
I have a 5,
Okay.
and you have a 4.
Right.
Tell me the difference. Now, you famously, I feel like you're going 4 because when I go high, you go low, is what you're doing.
I mean, it's 1 degree difference.
No, it's not 1 degree. It's 10%.
It's just, you ever see that this one goes to 11? And it's like, well, why don't you just make 10, 11?
Are you
a little
afraid
bit
to
louder?
go
And it's like,
5? Because clearly I'm not afraid to go 5 on Snobometer.
slightly afraid to go 5 just because I know you're going to go 5. And so just to be a little contrarian, I want to go something different.
There, you admitted it. So,
like, by the way, I filled
like,
this
you
out.
actually think this is
this sheet
a
out
less snob?
first.
But do you think that this is a less, but what did you think I was going to put on this?
5.
This is a classic 5.
Is it?
It is. Forget it. Okay. Forget it. Okay. So you think that this is less?
Snobometer has been broken this whole time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, and we still do it, and I love it.
Well, let's talk about things that are broken. Better than Kind of Blue.
Oh,
I love your answer here.
yeah, I put it depends on what you like.
Well, could that just lead? You know what?
Here's what I mean by this.
Put that every week then, because that's always going to be. It depends on what you like. If everything is subjective, then nothing is subjective.
Here's where I'm conflicted. I think overall, Charlie Parker's playing on this album is better than any of the playing on Kind of Blue.
So you think this record is better than Kind of Blue?
I don't know.
Because that's what the question is.
It's a hard. This is a tough one.
Is that a hard question?
It is hard for me to answer.
Let me help you. Yes or no? It's like we're in Congress, you know. Yes or no? Is this album better than Kind of Blue?
As an
Okay, so you can't do it.
no, I'll do it. No, it's as an album, as a work of like complete art. It is more inconsistent than Kind of Blue is.
Well, it depends on what you like.
That's what I'm saying. But if you like the greatest improviser in the world, I think maybe his greatest improvising moments, this might be for you.
Yeah, I would agree.
By the way, they're both for you.
Sure.
It's a stupid category to begin with, Peter.
I
I blame
think
you for it, by the way, because we shouldn't be comparing art like this, man.
No. I think it's just to us, is it better? You know, and I think when we talk about Kind of Blue, that immediately puts it into that category of like Intervisions,
It's
Asia,
just
these records where you could be like, is this everything about it, the production, everybody's playing.
No, famously, you always put maybe on this, by the way, but I understand it on this one. It's hard to listen to Just Friends and then be like, anything's better than this. You know what I mean?
Like, and you could say like Just Friends minus like 15 seconds. If you took it away, would that make it worse?
Poor double
No. I'm just saying, like
double M.
you really. Whereas Kind of Blue is sort of, isn't Kind of Blue as famous as being like there's nothing you need to take away or add to it.
That is a perfect album.
Yeah. Now some people might be like, I don't like modal jazz. I don't like, it's boring or
That's
whatever.
true. You know what?
But if you like that kind of thing, it's very hard to find fault with it.
100%.
It's a well-balanced record. This record is out of balance.
I agree.
But that's part of the beauty of it and part of the artistry of Charlie Parker. Like he's going to push almost anything out of balance.
It's also, you know what's weird about it, about Charlie Parker with strings, one of the strange things I find about it is like I said, it is his best playing.
Yeah.
These incredible, beautiful melodies that he's playing, like just pouring out of him. These unbelievable bebop lines. But it's like we said in the beginning.
And I agree. It is his best playing.
It's not really a bebop album.
No,
like when we were just listening to Koko.
Right.
This is bebop to me.
Put your beret on, get your marijuana, your Mary Jane going.
Okay, that's just straight up stereotype.
Well, no, but when we say that, like, this is his best, that doesn't mean other things. This might equal it. I could totally make an argument for that. So, like, the best can be, like, there's the best Charlie Parker, and that's a bunch of tracks. It's not everything he recorded. He had some dips.
Yeah.
But it's like, once you're in that top Charlie Parker category, and he just somehow sort of stays in that on this record.
He does.
Which is really exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
For better than KOB, not to belabor the point, well, ask me the question so I can answer it.
Is it better than Kind of Blue?
Its highs are.
Yes or no?
Damn, well, I was afraid you were going to say it. The best, like the heights of this are, but the lows kind of pull it down. So.
I got you.
Okay, not the lows, but.
Accoutrements.
I mean, I have 7 because, I mean, this is a little, I would have said lower, but first of all, it's very hard to say, like, what's the original one, but this is the closest, I think, to the original. I think the back is great. I think the front is so super well balanced. I like the colors.
So
I don't understand I understand he's the A&R guy. This takes off some points to have Mitch Miller so prominently. I mean, Charlie Parker's bigger, but it's so weird, his horn in between his legs.
I'm not totally sure. I don't think this is the 1949 original one.
Okay.
The original one with 6 is gorgeous. It's just got birds
This
drawn
is with
on it.
6. Yeah.
That's just the 6?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought
April
I
in
saw
Paris,
some-
summertime.
Maybe
yeah.
it's the second one. This is what I'm saying. It's so hard
Yeah.
to tell. But that one, not this one.
Yeah.
This one is a 6 for me.
Okay.
Like it's okay, but the pictures are, like you said, the illustrations are
Yeah.
weird. You got double M on there, but
But look at that picture of Buddy Rich and Ray Brown. That's a
very
great
cool.
picture.
Very, very cool. Yeah. I mean, that is really
Look
good.
at that picture of Mitch Miller on the back.
That's killing. But the other one with just the hand-drawn birds, I think is really good.
Yeah.
Uh,
that one. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What do you got up next?
Up next, you know what? I'm gonna go a little.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit. Well, why don't you do yours first? Because I think mine's more of a departure.
I have Clifford Brown with strings. Obvious
a great
choice.
call.
It's
obvious but great.
Straight down the middle.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an inspiring, like, that's actually one of the only things where there wouldn't be a dip. Now, whether or not you could say Charlie Parker, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that is an inspired record.
As I'm saying it, it's kind of a boring call, but it's a great album.
Yeah. No, it's great. So I got Hot House Flowers by Wynton Marsalis.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because it's different. Like, I feel like Clifford Brown with strings is kind of close enough to this that...
You won this category. That's an interesting call.
I'd say all these, but those three, oddly enough, I think Hot House Flowers is one of my favorite Wynton Marsalis records. There, I said it. And I want to just say...
Lester Maness's favorite.
Oh,
I grew up with this album.
I don't hear people talking about that record a lot.
I know we could do this. I know this
album. Your dad
album.
has good taste.
He does.
Even before this, I knew that. But I mean, Kenny Kirkland's playing. Oh my gosh, on that. Wynton's playing like, and I think that because like I said some stuff I didn't think was that controversial, but a couple of people picked up on the Grammy video I just did, where I said I was comparing 1984 to 2026 Grammys, and Wynton won for Think of One that year. And I kind of said, like, this is not his greatest album, and it hasn't really stood the test of time. I think Wynton's playing and his bands and his records during that period, like the next year, Black Coats from the Underground, and then I guess 1 year later with Hot House Flowers, incredible stuff. That was my only thing.
But of those three, that's not your favorite.
I mean, either Black Coats or Hot House Flowers.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking string, like for strings things, I think you can go from this, which is saying a lot, to that. Incredible arrangements. Wynton's playing, Kenny Branford.
If you love this
Jeff
album,
Watts.
go check out Hot House Flowers.
Yeah.
That's a great call, Peter.
Yeah. And a lot of people, if you look at the record, you're like, oh, this is 80s. This Wynton wasn't really. No, it's
cool.
the real deal.
It's cool. Awesome.
Man, this was cool.
This was really fun.
Do you read or do you just listen?
I try not to.
Okay. Well, if you did, you want to check out something called You'll Read It.
Oh, our
That's
newsletter.
Our newsletter.
Yeah.
Which don't worry, it's not written by us. It's written by professionals.
Yeah, by producer Liz.
Yeah.
And go check that out.
You can go to you'llhearit.com to sign up for that. And then we're going to spam you. No, we're not.
Peter.
Sorry. We're going to send you helpful things. There you go.
Until next time.
You'll hear it. You'll read it.